Hey, welcome back. It is the Muffin. I have a subscriber request that's been asked for a while, but I'll be honest, it was one that I was actually a bit hesitant on, but then I decided to just go ahead and do it because tank destroyers, or not even so much tank destroyers, I'll start with this, is that having two different types of tanks, like tank destroyers versus heavies, or medium tanks versus heavies, light tanks versus destroyers, it's not quite as an even or equal fight as I think a lot of people would think it would be. And we're going to see the reason why that is in this showdown of the E100 versus the JgPz E100. Both really massive tanks, just titans. And I've never done a showdown like this before. I've always done heavies versus heavies, tank destroyers versus tank destroyers, medium tanks versus medium tanks. This is the first showdown I've ever done where I just decided to go ahead, fulfill a subscriber request, and doing heavy tanks versus tank destroyer. And why not go all out in doing the E100 versus JgPz E100. Now, I will say right off the bat that the sounds of these cannons all going off just sound so beautiful. But there's some differences between these tanks specifically. So in this first one, JgPzers are already down 2 on one side. None have fallen on the E100 side. But when looking at the differences of these two tanks, like I said, definitely beasts. But the E100, being heavy, has more hit points. It does have pretty good armor, especially if you know how to angle it properly. And it's not as accurate. Now, the JgPz E100 is a little more accurate. It has a higher average damage cannon. So the JgPz actually can do an average of 800, while the E100 does an average of 640 damage with its standard round. And the JgPz doesn't have as much hit points, along with also not having a turret. So one E100 has fallen, only one JgPz left, so we can definitely see who's going to win this one. Now, we're going to go into another one, trying this again, but now there's more, still equal. So here we go. So we've got 6 versus 6. Now, when doing this, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that just because of what you were able to see during the first round, because the JgPz E100 lost doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad tank. And this kind of goes back to my reason at the beginning. The reason why I don't have heavy tanks go against tank destroyers or light tanks go against heavy tanks is because they're meant to fulfill different purposes. The JgPz E100, yeah, it has great firepower. Tank destroyers are typically all about the cannons because they're meant to be in like a supporting role position. A heavy tank is much more meant to be a frontline aggressor and meant to be able to angle and, maneuver that armor. The tank destroyers don't have that. And also, the hit point pool is another problem. So not only the fact do most of them don't have turrets or don't have that same flexibility, but when you end up doing a 7 versus 7, you have the heavy tank side, especially in this scenario, that has way more hit points than the tank destroyer side, even though the tank destroyers do more damage per shot in this situation. The JgPzers have a lot more hit points to burn through than the E100s do with the JgPz E100s. So we can already see right here the JgPzers once again are just falling apart. But what we're going to do, we're going to mix it up just a little bit more. So we're now in the next battle going to have one more JgPz E100 than E100s and see how comparable that is. Can the E100s still win? So I wanted to make that point clear, and I'll go into why I don't put different types of tanks against each other. This one was very clear. So when you do tank destroyers versus heavies, typically there's that hit point discrepancy. Not to mention tank destroyers don't have turrets, making them a bit more stiff and having to completely expose themselves to take that shot, whereas an E100 or a heavy tank can angle itself, and it has just a much different role. Going and looking at taking a medium or a light tank versus a heavy tank, yeah, the heavy tank has more armor and more hit points, but the biggest downfall for the heavy tanks when playing against a light or medium tank is the view range. Is that the light and medium tanks can, and on top of that, they also have faster speed. But one type of tank isn't necessarily better than the other. It can be better than the other when just put on a 1 versus 1 situation, but they all fulfill different roles. So adding one more JgPz E100 here in this round, getting some great shots. I'm not going to talk as much, just so you can hear just some of these beautiful cannons just firing at each other. So the E100s are starting to fall apart. JgPzers making a comeback with just having one more on their side. We're gonna do one more match with one extra JgPz E100 and see if the E100s can do it. So try to give everyone a turn. Thank you to all my subscribers that had come and participated. You guys are awesome, amazing. Thank you so much, and also thank you for sending me your replays. So great game. So now in that one, only one JgPz E100 fell. Alright, so we're going to try this one more time and just once again see if the E100s can do this with having one extra JgPz E100. Now, I personally like the JgPz E100. I know there's some people that don't like it, and it can be difficult. Sometimes it's just a matter of your play style. I really like it. I love the fun derpiness of the cannon. It's a lot of fun to be able to take that much hit points away with a single shot. I did have a game last week where I loaded an HE and fired it at a grill all the way across the map, full health. First I thought I ammo racked it because I killed it in one hit, but instead I just got a max roll with that grill. And man, those derp cannons are a lot of fun. E100, I really like the E100. But like, yeah, it sometimes just goes with your preference. Now taking that HE shot, which honestly, yeah, doesn't do as much damage, but if you're not 100% sure whether you're going to get a shot or you just don't have a penetrating shot, the JgPz's HE round can still, as you can see, shave off like a couple hundred damage, 200 to 300 damage with that HE round. Still quite nice. So 2 down on the JgPz E100 side. Will the E100s be able to do this? Four JgPz's and the score is even. Honestly, this was a great game. Just one falling after another on each side. And here it is, 2v2. Oh, shell just fell short. That's one of the things, as mentioned with the E100, the accuracy is just not as good. Great block there by that E100, but devastating shot taken from behind. Making the push because it needs to be done. Oh, unfortunate bounce. And great game. Once again, thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed the vid. This is the Muffin here. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.